Hello, I'm Chris James, President and CEO of the National Center for American Indian Enterprise Development. Welcome to day 2 of the Native Edge Institute, Strengthening the Economic Diversification of Small Businesses. We are here in Reno, Nevada, and we really thank you so much for joining us for our second day of information. We really want to give a great shout out to Wells Fargo Foundation. They're financial supporters for this initiative. The Native Edge Institute, we have almost one institute a month throughout the United States. We have featured locations. Of course, with COVID-19, many of our institutes, or most of our institutes, are now virtual environments. So anybody in the United States can see us, but we are still focused in the Nevada region of the country today. But the information that you learn today, it doesn't really matter if you live in Nevada or Maine or Florida. This is great information. We really want to thank our partners. Some of those partners you've heard yesterday, some you'll hear today, but really from Nevada Department of Business, from Square Incorporated, from Government Contract Pros, from the Sequoia Fund, the National Veterans Business Council, and again, our partner, the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for all of you speakers, and thank you for sharing the information about the support that you have for businesses, not only here in Nevada, but also nationwide. And we really appreciate that. I hope that those of you that have watched yesterday, if you have some continuous questions, please let us know through the chat feature, through email. Allie on the National Center team is a great resource, and please reach out to Allie, who you'll see a lot throughout yesterday and today, if you have any additional questions. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like we as businesses are growing. It seems like because of the economic pressures that some of you may feel because of the COVID-19 pandemic, that in fact our businesses are struggling. So the National Center is there for you. We have resources to help you get through this, whether your business has shrunk, or even if your business has grown. We do have resources that can help you. When we talk about diversification, we do talk about we as business owners, and we are changing our business strategies. How do we diversify? And that could be diversifying from a different funding source. That could be a diversification from how you do business. The information that Square's provided is how you can actually do more business online, getting some tricks and trade of being more virtual business. We really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you again to all of our supporters, speakers, and sponsors. And please reach out to the National Center at www.NCAIED.org for additional information about all the activities that we do. Again, like I said yesterday, I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2021. Thank you.
Hello everyone, and welcome to day 2 of our Native Edge Institute event. Today we will be discussing the topics of COVID-19 resilience and recovery, opportunities for veteran-owned businesses, and access to capital. First, we have Ms. Ann Silver discussing the topic of COVID-19 resilience and recovery. Ann Silver is CEO of the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Silver has 10 years of national and regional management experience and was also Human Resources Director for the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. Ms. Silver, what can you tell us about COVID-19 and also the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce?
Hello, everyone. I'm Ann Silver, Chief Executive Officer of the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce. We're located here in Reno, Nevada. We have 2,000 plus members who employ about 85,000 residents of our community. We're the largest business organization in Northern Nevada, and we advocate, inform, and connect our members. At least that's our motto. Needless to say, like many cities across the country, we were hit hard early at the start of this pandemic. We then had a nice period of decline, and I guess people got freer and looser with their masks, and now we have hit a very high positivity rate with hospital beds at an all-time high. And the governor has not yet closed businesses back down again, but he's basically threatened to do so unless our positivity rate gets down to 5%. We're at 15.9% effective today. So business recovery and resiliency has been a challenge over these long months. Initially, when the governor shut down businesses and the gaming industry and hotels and tourism, we immediately began a campaign of curbside commerce. And all of our chamber members got posters and a logo advertising the fact that they could, in fact, do deliveries to people's trunks and back of their pickups and have minimal interaction and contact with their patrons or customers. And that went very, very well. When that restriction was lifted, we began the second phase of our campaign called Cover Up for Commerce. And we were able to distribute free masks to our members of 25 employees or less. And they were chamber logo masks, and Cover Up for Commerce became the mantra here in the community in order to keep our businesses and our members going. That continues to be our cry as we encourage everyone to mask up. The governor has mandated mask wearing, but unfortunately, whether it's a political issue or just an issue that people have taken up as a matter of free speech or individual rights, we have many people not cooperating. As recently as this morning, I was able to get a hold of some statistics, and contrary to people thinking it's younger people who are causing this, really all age groups have been perpetrators and are not wearing masks. And that includes children leaving the school environment where they are attending on a hybrid model and either infecting other family members, adults who are out and about, and come home and give it to their children, or people gathering in small groups, and that could be as many as 20 people at a time. The governor has since lowered the definition of small gathering to 10 people. It was up to 50 people, and prior to that, it was as high as 250. But that number continues to decline as far as who's permitted to get together in a gathering. With Thanksgiving coming up, there's a great sensitivity to what may happen as people invite guests, family members, loved ones into their homes, and everyone is being discouraged from having family gatherings. Obviously, there's no way to legislate that or control that, but we are doing everything we can to encourage our business members to advise their employees not to gather so as not to bring the potential for COVID-19 back into the workplace. Obviously, we're very concerned about worker safety. Any precautions a business can take to ensure it stays open is paramount for us. At this point in time, we are seeing resiliency. We're seeing innovative and new ways for businesses to deal with the virus. We had a number of distilleries that were shut down, and one in particular immediately pivoted and began making hand sanitizer and had more profitability selling hand sanitizer than it did its distilled liqueurs and whiskey. So they certainly pivoted at the right time. They're back with their bar open with social distancing and masks, but they now have a second-tier business that they can rely upon. Obviously, with warm weather that began here in late April and remained until last week, we had a very, very hot summer, and really we stayed in the 90-degree level. Restaurants, inns, bars, distilleries, taverns were all able to stay open and serve outside, and for many of them, they had the most profitable second quarter they'd ever had. There was so much community support to keep our small businesses and our restaurants open that people flocked to outdoor dining. And so we know many of our members that did outstandingly well in terms of business. And just last week, the cold weather began. We've seen an uptick in people buying outdoor space heaters so that they might continue to serve outdoors, but we're anticipating snow this week, and we're very concerned that many businesses will have a very difficult third quarter, if not fourth quarter, as the weather gets worse. We're a rather dry community. We're called the High Desert based on our proximity to Lake Tahoe at 7,000 feet. We're at about 5,500 feet in altitude, and we don't get much moisture, but we do get snow. And when that comes, no one seems to know how to drive in it or do anything in it. So we're discouraged that if that happens, our restaurants, bars, pubs, taverns, etc., that we're serving outside won't be able to do so. Our convention center, which is 600,000 square feet and normally is able to host conventions, large meetings, large gatherings, has been closed for months, and there are no bookings on the horizon. So our tourism convention visitor business is significantly down. And because of that, throughout Reno and Las Vegas, the governor is very focused, as is his Department of Economic Development, on economic diversification. And while we've essentially been a no income tax state and most of our revenue came from gaming, we're realizing that with the shutdown of casinos in Las Vegas for a long period of time and those in Reno and in our rural communities, we can't rely on all our eggs in one basket. So the Governor's Office of Economic Development is doing everything it can to encourage diversification. And with that in mind, for several years now, we've reached out to manufacturing, distribution, and warehousing concerns. Tesla opened up here in 2014, employs over 6,500 individuals, and we have a mini Silicon Valley about 30 miles north of Reno, where there are several technology companies, including Apple and Amazon and Tesla and Panasonic, that employ thousands and thousands of residents. Of course, that's created an increase or spike in housing prices, as well as affordable housing, as well as infrastructure and transportation issues. And so we're trying to be resilient and address that through our state legislature. But this is a year the governor has asked for 15% budget cuts across the board in all of his departments. So we are expecting a difficult 2021 legislative session. We are a state where our legislature only meets every other year, and 2021 is a legislative year, and we are expecting very, very difficult discussions among both Republicans and Democrats in the Assembly and in the Senate relative to the state budget. We already know of cuts to education at the university level, community college level, and public school level. And we know there are huge demands as the population increases for more schools, not less. So infrastructure funding for more schools will be very important. The tuition has gone up at the university to cover some of the PPE costs and energy costs and innovation costs for technology and distance learning. So it's a discouraging picture, but we're tough here in Nevada. We are battle-born, as they say on our flag. And so we're very dedicated at the Chamber to seeing our businesses thrive, at least sustain through this COVID-19 virus, and then thrive once it's over. Needless to say, we did everything we could for our members in terms of applying for EIDL loans, the emergency loan program, as well as the Paycheck Protection Program. We know those dollars have to have been allocated by December, so that's coming to an end. And we are busy working with our 2 U.S. senators and congressmen for another stimulus package, which we believe Congress should attend to before they recess for Christmas. We think many businesses will have a hard time holding on through the holiday season. And so we want those folks to get back to work, put partisanship aside, and do what's right for this country, helping individual families, certainly small businesses, cities and counties and states, doing more to ensure there is personal protective equipment for first responders and healthcare providers. And with this spike, it's even a more urgent plea to those involved in Washington, D.C. We are continually experiencing new membership, which is great, and our retention rate has held steady throughout the pandemic at about 80%. So while we've lost some members, we've lost them solely because they've gone out of business, or in fact, they just simply can't make the annual membership fee. We charge only $100 for nonprofits, and we have hundreds of nonprofit organizations that are members of our chamber. They seem to be doing fairly well. It's a strong philanthropic community, and we've seen donations to organizations that support those who are without food or without shelter. And certainly those with other mental health needs or disorders. We've seen an outpouring of money to those organizations, and we do everything we can as a chamber to promote them and encourage people. We're coming up on Giving Tuesday, the 1st of December, when all the nonprofit members will be sending out information throughout Washoe County, urging people to give to their organization. We also were able to finish our 2020 leadership class. We have an annual leadership program. We had 36 graduates, and while we missed 2 classes, we were able to make them up, and we were able to find locations, including the snow removal equipment building at our local airport, where we could safely distance all the class members and have presentations. And in September, we graduated 36 students. We will begin that program again in March. And while I'm keeping my fingers crossed for vaccine, should we not have one, we'll be using the convention center where we can safely distance participants and get them through the 8-month program. We'll be in our 36th year of our leadership program, and that is a significant marker for our chamber. And we're very excited when we get so many applicants who wish to be in that. They hear from elected officials, they participate in the legislative process, they attend city council meetings, they hear from educators, law enforcement personnel, arts and culture influencers, and medical professionals from our medical college that's here at our university, and other decision makers in the county. And we hope that these individuals go on to be leaders, if not major influencers in our community in future years. Unfortunately, we've had to curtail our networking events. We did hold a live event last month, Coffee and Commerce, which we do early on a weekday morning. It was limited to about 30 participants who were able to have coffee and individually packaged snacks and network with their masks on. We always have different businesses that present what they're working on, and that's always great when people can interact. Starting in January, we'll be in a new building where we can safely distance our members and resume our monthly 3 events: Coffee and Commerce early in the morning, Chamber Member Value, which is an early morning event once a month, and then Business After Hours, which is once a month, where we serve alcoholic beverages and snacks. And we'll see how we can do that in terms of social distancing and making sure everyone is wearing a mask, and that we are adhering to all the governor's mandates. But hopefully we're going to decrease the spike activity that we're experiencing now. We've been given several reasons for it. One being that people are just tired of wearing masks, and my response to that is try working in a retail store and having one on for 8 hours a day, which most of us don't have to do. Secondly, we understand that people consider it a political statement, and my answer to that is it's a health statement and shows respect for others. And the third reason we've heard is that people want to retain their personal liberties. And to that, I say now's not the time to celebrate independence, but rather coming together and working in unison to defeat this virus. And we call it kicking COVID to the curb. As I've mentioned, we were always, for over 100 years, reliant on our gaming businesses. We are now seeing an influx of small businesses, new entrepreneurs from California. We don't have a personal income tax in Nevada and no corporate income tax, so we're getting many refugees from California based on its tax structure. And we are seeing entrepreneurs ages 20 to 29 who have new inventions, new ideas, new prospects for startup businesses. We're also seeing an influx of retirees, people over the age of 60 who may have had a prior career in their community in California and are coming east to Nevada. We're only just a few miles from the border. And due to fires in California, as well as a different set of our tax incentives and tax increases in California, we're welcoming a lot of new businesses. And in fact, we stay up to date with our real estate members, and they are seeing a huge increase in home purchasing, which has driven up the price of homes to an average of $440,000. 2 years ago, it was down at $300,000. So we've experienced that huge increase. And as a result, we lack what I'll call workforce housing. I don't like the term affordable housing because it's all relative, but workforce housing is we're desperately in need of as we experience an influx of workers in skilled trades, in construction, in manufacturing, distribution, and warehouse operations, and then technology. And so those individuals who make upwards of $19 an hour may be purchasing their first home or maybe choosing to rent. We do not have sufficient workforce housing. We do see developers building high-end housing, and they're beautiful homes, and they'd be thrilled to live in one of them, but they're cost prohibitive as far as our average worker. The average income for a family of four in Nevada is $55,000 a year. So the prices are prohibitive. Wealthier Californians are moving in, selling their homes in California for high prices, buying homes here for cash, maybe buying a second one and renting it out, but those rental prices are high. So despite what we're facing with COVID-19, our economy is seeing booming housing prices, an inordinate number of open jobs, not enough people to fill them. And when the unemployment insurance was enhanced by $600 a week, and then by the state for $300 a week, there were many people who could make more on unemployment insurance than they were able to make in their jobs. So we saw an increase in available jobs and a decrease in the number of people seeking them out. That now has pretty much leveled out, and we're seeing people returning to the workforce. And we anticipate that during the 2021 legislative session, there will then be again a call for an increase to minimum wage, which stubbornly remained very low at $7.25 in Nevada until the 2019 legislative session, which took it up $1. So we have a ways to go to pay people fairly and equitably for the skills or the work they do, and the chamber supports that effort. It isn't typical for a chamber to support increases in minimum wage, but we do. I should also mention we're one of a handful of chambers across the country. We do not have a political action committee. We don't endorse or provide funding for candidates. Instead, for any level, be it city, county, state, or federal level. We instead have a public policy platform, which we issue every year, and we ask our elected officials to endorse our public policy platform. But we do not have what is commonly called a PAC. We eliminated that in 2018, and we were able to significantly increase our membership by being nonpartisan and instead focusing on providing information to our members. Information that consists this fall of videos of each and every candidate running for office that you could click on anytime it was convenient for you and learn about judges, people running for the Assembly or the Senate, people running for Congress. We wanted to ensure we provided that information and that our members were knowledgeable without us indicating for whom they should vote or how they should vote. We did get very involved in the 2020 census, encouraging people to participate. We did a number of promotional pieces and outreach to the community. I believe Nevada came in at about a 75% participation rate, not as strong as we would have hoped, but it was very important for us, given the increase in population, with the chance of perhaps getting another congressional seat. I'm not sure how that's ended up, but we will see. Twice a week, we do something called the Chamber Briefing, which I write, and it goes out to over 6,500 recipients. Anybody who's a member can sign up to get that, and it includes information about what's going on at the federal level, the state level, and the local level. We also have a member news page on our website where every member can advertise and promote themselves, add a discount coupon, or create an advertisement. So there's business-to-business connections. We also have an annual meeting called Alliance. This year, it will most likely be held in the spring or early summer. We are focusing on, we are calling it the business of sports, and we will have the Las Vegas Raiders president, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the NHL hockey team, and the National Basketball Association commissioner, and our U.S. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto as guest speakers. In the past, our Alliance event has included up to 300 booths. We are doubtful we'll be able to do that this year, but once again, fingers crossed, who knows, by early summer, we may be able to do that. It's a great opportunity for our members to advertise themselves, have a booth and display of swag and various brochures and pamphlets and magazines. We've had upwards of over 1,000 people attend Alliance. We also have what we call chamber partners, where people can pay more than their annual membership, and they become sponsors of some of these major events. We display their name on the plaque of our meeting room. We we have their logo at the bottom of every chamber briefing that goes out, and we're at number 156, I think, of those. We have an annual partner recognition reception, and we count on those big companies to help subsidize the events and activities we're able to do for free for our members. We've also had a Chamber EDU, or educational series, that has run for a couple of months, where every week we feature a subject matter expert to talk to our members. Anyone can log on to the Zoom call. Tomorrow we're having health and wellness, mental health and wellness in the workplace. We've had the dean of our medical school, we've had our senators, we've had our governor on the phone, we've had head of hospitals, we've had head of banks, we've had SBA representatives. That has just been going on for months and months and months, and we will continue that until further notice to ensure that our members are hearing from experts, getting to ask questions, staying well informed, so that we're not the only ones who know what's going on, but all 2,000 members plus do as well. As far as member activity, we stay in touch with every single member through this chamber briefing. I would say we get over 100 calls a week as well from people seeking to relocate to this area. So we send out relocation packages. And if you are a chamber partner, your materials can go in that relocation package. So for instance, if you're a bank and you want to get somebody's checking or savings account when they move here, you can add your flyer to that relocation package and basically advertise in advance of someone moving here. Ordinarily, if it were not for COVID, we'd be getting about 50 to 75 visitors a day. Our offices have been closed to the general public. We have not missed a day in our offices since March 15th. We've stayed separated and masked when we meet together. I have a staff of 2 full-time employees and 1 part-time, and I'd say they're just terrific, incredibly dedicated, and they've gotten us through the really low times, but we're experiencing, and prior to that, the very strong times where we were getting an average of 15 new members a week. So I'm not complaining about anything. I'm tired of hearing, people have COVID fatigue. My fatigue is hearing people complain about COVID fatigue. We're doing everything we can to support our first responders and healthcare workers. As the spike continues, hospital beds are now at a shortage. Our key major public hospital in town has resorted to hospital beds in the parking garage. And we fully anticipate that our convention center will again be turned into temporary quarters for those who need to be hospitalized for the virus. Obviously, everyone across the globe is waiting for a vaccine. There is news today of some promising vaccines that could be out as early as the spring. But until then, the Chamber will continue to promote safety of businesses, safety for businesses' employees, safety for school children and families, teachers, you name it. We want our commerce level to stay and surge when this is over. We want our businesses to thrive and be sustainable throughout this process. And we want new businesses to feel they're safe if they move here and open up. In every chamber briefing, we have resources available from our Division of Business and Industry, located in our state capital in Carson City. We include resources from the Small Business Administration. We include resources from our 2 senators' offices in Washington, as well as our congressman in Washington. It's a click away. We always include information material. All you have to do is press click here, and you can have grant information, applications, ways to process applications. We've just been drowning in information that we throw out to all of our members to ensure that any new grant, any new program, any new opportunity for funding, any opportunity for incentives on a federal level or state level, county level or city level, both Reno and the city of Sparks had individual city grants. We promoted those grants and the application process. So I would say, if anything, a chamber member would say, stop, you're giving me way too much information. I have everything at my fingertips reading your chamber briefing. We do find that people really appreciate that overindulgence in information, and we'll continue to provide it until people say stop or we see that people aren't reading it. But it's our job to promote commerce, to promote our members, to ensure that they know timely and relevant information, and that we're doing everything we can to support them.
Now we have Terry Reynolds, Director of Department of Business and Industry. Mr. Reynolds oversees 11 diverse state regulatory divisions, from insurance to financial institutions. So, Mr. Reynolds, what can you tell us about the Department of Industry and what you have helped accomplish this year?
Well, it's an honor to be asked to speak for the National Center. So this is kind of a unique opportunity for me, and I really appreciate it. The Department of Business and Industry is a cabinet-level department, and they work closely with the governor's office. We oversee 11 diverse state agencies. The director's office also performs all fiscal functions for all those agencies. We also house the Nevada Consumer Affairs Unit that handles consumer issues throughout the state. We have the Ombudsman for Consumer Affairs in our office, and also the Commission for Minority Affairs is housed within our office. The department also is the conduit issuer for industrial development revenue bonds. And we do industrial bonds, revenue bonds, and charter school bonds as part of our function. The pandemic really has hit Nevada hard, as well as some of our small communities within the state, and especially our minority-owned businesses. Over 70% of our businesses are considered small business with less than 100 employees. And most of those businesses only have about 50 employees. So we are really, truly a state and a community of small business. So we felt that we needed to get a program out to handle and to work with small business, particularly some of our disadvantaged businesses within our communities. So we put together what's called the Pandemic Technical Support Grant Program, or PETS, as we affectionately called it. But we partnered with the Governor's Office of Economic Development, the Department of Business and Industry, and the State Treasurer's Office. And we formed a working group to see what we could do to really help stimulate and help our small business within our state. So the program received an initial allocation from the Governor's Office of about $20 million in CARES funding. And with that, we targeted small businesses of under 50, disadvantaged businesses, minority businesses. We also felt that the arts and cultural organizations needed some support too, as well as community nonprofits. So we really focused in on a targeted area to help those businesses, and each of the businesses could get up to $10,000 for their business. So with that, we also put together a support system, which I think this was really kind of the most significant thing about the program is we wanted to make sure that whoever was applying for that who could have technical assistance. So our department, the Department of Business and Industry, the Treasurer's Office, and GoEd each had particular functions that they would help people with. So if someone called and wanted to help with filling out an application, or they wanted to have questions about where they could use the funds, we would be able to provide that support. We even help people fill out applications if they needed to. So, and for a lot of small businesses, A, they don't have a lot of time to do that. B, they're really just trying to survive and be able to make it through the next week or the next couple days in some of the instances. So the grant funds that we set aside could be used for rent, inventory, payroll, utilities, personal protection supplies, business retrofits, and COVID employee safety. So we kept it fairly broad so that they could use it and be fairly flexible. We set up a website through the Treasurer's Office, and it was asknevadatreasurer.com. So they could people could call in on a hotline, or they could email the Treasurer's Office to get information. Now, when a question came in, we would divert that to one of our working groups so they could answer that. So we really didn't get overwhelmed. I mean, I think in 1 week, our department alone handled about 1,000 different inquiries. So at the end of about a 3-week period, we had 8,000 applications for assistance. And with that, we were able to break it down into the different areas for whether it was an actual retail business, a nonprofit, or a community arts foundation. And so we were able to break those up and then direct them to different offices so they could get the answers by segregating that by the type of business it was or function. And that worked fairly well. We had, within 3 weeks, we had about 8,000 applications. And the program, the interest was so successful that the Governor's Office put another $20 million into the program. So now we have $40 million in the program for businesses to apply for. And these are grant funds. They don't have to pay them back, which I think is very significant. So the other thing that we have done is that we worked with the Governor's Finance Office. We got a dedicated financial analyst through our budget office to be able to help us process the funds so we could set it up and get checks out fairly quickly. And we were able to do that. And subsequently, it's been fairly successful to be able to get money out directly to these small businesses within weeks. Which is great. So that program is ongoing. We're going to evaluate it around the 1st of December, and if we need to push more money into it, we have a little more money that was set aside that we can do that. In addition to that, I wanted to go over a couple other programs that we have within the department. I was just talking to our labor commissioner, and she is the head of what we call the Home Means Nevada. It's a nonprofit, and it was set up for foreclosure mediation. Subsequently, we expanded that to work with the mediation for people that were on the verge of being evicted because of the inability to pay rent, or were waiting for assistance to be able to pay that rent, and we didn't want them to see them lose their apartment or get kicked out or get evicted when the eviction moratorium expired. So we were able to set up a program through the nonprofit. We set up an actual website portal that they could go in and get assistance, everything from where to get eviction counseling, how to set up a mediation program with their tenants, completely voluntary with landlord and tenant. But we've had over 400 applications so far, and we performed a little over 400 mediations with that. So it's been very, very successful. It also gives a portal to get funding to help out landlords that did not receive rental checks, so they could get reimbursed for the rent that they lost, and also help the tenant so they can continue to stay in their property that they're renting. So that has been worked out fairly well. We worked through the Nevada Supreme Court, legal aid, our housing division. The housing division for the Housing Authority with the state of Nevada is also under business and industry. So we were able to take those resources and put it into this program to be able to get the guidelines on how it would be done, to get a court order out to the district courts within the state that handled the foreclosure mediation. And so that is ongoing and has really taken off. It's been very good. The other program I wanted to highlight is our new market tax credits program. In 2019, we the legislature set aside another $200 million of tax credits for either startup businesses or businesses that were expanding in Nevada. And we have been able to successfully fund a lot of different businesses within our state. Most all of those businesses are within areas that have disadvantaged populations or minority populations. And we have been able to create, I think to date, about 2,500 fairly high-paying jobs. We have several companies that we've just funded in the last, say, couple months that will be able to provide another 1,000 plus jobs for people within the different communities. And it's just not in Las Vegas or Reno, it's out in the what we call the rural areas outside. Nevada is very urbanized with most of its population in Washoe County and Clark County. But we do have significant populations throughout the state. We've done a lot of different projects from everything from high tech to packaging to, there's a gentleman that makes corn chips in Las Vegas and supplies most of the hotel properties with corn chips. It's 100% minority owned and 100% minority employed business, and it's been extremely successful. So we also house one of the world's largest organ donor networks within Las Vegas. And it started out as a regional organ donor network, but now it's turned global, and it's received an incredible amount of awards for that, and has a full medical facility now within the property they started out with, and has over 175 new employees. So varied. We also have the Washoe Tribe. We helped fund their travel center, which is south of Carson City here, where the capital is. So we've done some really very different projects with that. But these are all things, I think, that we looked at what was happening with COVID and the recovery, and said, you know, what can we do as a state, but what can we do as a department to help out business? And we felt that providing grants, providing rental assistance. We did a commercial rental assistance program also for commercial properties, so people wouldn't lose their businesses. And that has been also fairly successful. But it's been a challenge because of business not knowing how to connect and how to get involved. So we've tried to provide the internal technical resources with our staff to sit down and interview people, talk to people, have these type of conversations with them, that they can ask questions, get assistance in filling out applications, know what the restrictions are. We've tried to get away from a lot of restrictions on that, so it's pretty fluid, flexible, that people can get funding to help out with their business. So it has been a challenge, and you're hoping to see some of this money extended past the first of the year so people can continue to get assistance. But so far, so good. The programs we put together seem to be fairly well received, and we're getting a lot of applications and a lot of follow-up to make sure that people know what they can do, how they can do it, and proceed to get the checks that they need to keep their business afloat. One of the things that has been helpful for our department, I belong to the Governor's Task Force on COVID mitigation. So we have a variety of members from the Department of Emergency Management. We have all the counties and tribal partners within Nevada are part of that effort. And so we have weekly call-ins to look at what's happening within their communities. The focus has been on making sure that we get resources and supplies throughout the state out to all of our communities. But it's also looking at what the needs are of all of our community, tribal and community government partners to see what their needs are. And it may be a situation where there's problems in terms of supply chain and getting PPEs out to them. It could be food for certain schools. We had a problem with kitchens broke down in one area of the state, and so we were able to truck meals into that area. They delivered about 60,000 meals over a week before they could get the equipment back up and running. And so that's been really kind of an eye-opener for our department and for us to know, really how everything's going and get immediate feedback, because we have great participation from all our communities, whether it's a matter of just a few thousand people in a city or to 2 million in Las Vegas. So it's been very helpful for me to be able to hear those issues, those problems, and where we need to work on getting resources in to assist people. It may be a community, and we're a large state, so it could be as far away as 300 miles away or 450 miles away, depending on what we have. But we've been able to react, to shift resources to make sure that all of our communities get what they need for fighting the pandemic, but also to keep the communities healthy in terms of their business community. So that has been really kind of an advantage for me for being in that group and working with that group. We look at governmental assistance, and they look at us and a lot of times as, well, what can the state government do, and a lot of the communities are reluctant to be able to help us or to work with us on things. But we have really received good support in terms of local communities, but we're also marshaling community resources to help other communities. We have set up and moved hospital equipment throughout the state when we're needed it. We have moved testing supplies throughout our communities. And we get weekly reports on where we're at with that. And we've been able to know how we should distribute our CARES dollars because of that. And I think that was something that's been very important for us, because we could see where we really needed to focus resources in to different areas. And then we went out, also we call our safety training and consultation group through the Department of Industrial Relations that works with not only mine safety, OSHA, but they also have their safety training group. And we've been out helping communities on how they can respond and how they can protect their employees, how they can protect their businesses, what they can do to be able to meet the state guidelines and the CDC guidelines in terms of their operations. We oversee everything from banks to real estate offices to transportation in those entities. And we've looked at, how do I stay open? We get a lot of questions on what is the best way to open for us, and what can we do to protect our employees, and how can we respond to our customers coming in and making sure that they feel safe and our employees feel safe. And so we've been basically kind of a support system for those businesses to say, okay, this is the best way to do that. We kept mining, manufacturing, open, and construction open the whole time during the pandemic. And so we worked very closely with manufacturing and mining and construction to make sure that those entities could stay open, those jobs could continue. And that was extremely important. We have a lot of mining in our rural areas, and it would have been disastrous if they would have lost workers or lost jobs by having to shut down. So we were able to work with them to stay focused, to stay open, and to protect their employees. And so that was one of the benefits of us, being able to operate on a statewide basis.
Up next, we have Mr. Keith King. A veteran himself, Mr. King has years of experience advocating for and supporting fellow veterans. He is currently president of the National Veteran Business Development Council. Keith, what can you tell us about what you are currently doing to support veteran-owned businesses?
Well, thank you, Alexandra. As you heard, I am a veteran. I'm a Vietnam veteran. And the idea behind certification and working in and with corporate America came about because I had spent 14 years doing federal contracting. And I think when we look at knowing about veterans and veteran businesses, it's a good place to start in the sense that the law that created veteran businesses as legal entities, what came in the federal law. We actually wrote that law in 97. It was passed in 99. So in 1999, veteran businesses and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses became legal entities in the contracting world, at least in the federal government. It took a number of years after that to get around to creating a verification program with the VA specifically, that also gave some credence to veteran certification or verification of the fact that the veteran actually owned and operated the business. Unfortunately, that verification program from the VA just simply does not meet what is called the best practices in corporate America. I found that out the hard way. Again, running my company now is 20 some years old. The fact of the matter is that what happened is if a company was doing business with the federal government, generally when a contract was being issued, they had a requirement of subcontracting to women-owned, minority-owned, and veteran-owned. But what we found out and what we knew is that in most cases, veteran-owned were not being included in these subcontracting programs of the major corporations. I was one of those companies that was excluded, and I thought I would go and ask why. And the fact of the matter is almost every single corporation I talked to said the same thing, which was they have a different standard of certification, and that what they wanted is to make sure that the veterans created a certification program that met those standards. And of course, having no idea what that really meant, I asked, how do I learn these things? And what happened was they said, look, the minorities have been doing this for 40 some years. The women have been doing it 20 some years. Go to them, ask them. And I joked about they took pity on me and said, yeah, come on, but they did. And myself and retired Brigadier General Dick Miller and a couple of other guys, they became our mentors. And we're eternally grateful to them, because what they really taught us was, in fact, the corporate standards or the best practices of certification. The certification process, in the sense of all the documents and all the paperwork and all the things that we have to do to prove what we call operational control and authority, was secondary to what I now would call the first step. And the first step is to prove, in fact, that you're a veteran. Now, the problem with that statement is a lot of people and a lot of veterans will go, I'm a veteran, I don't need you to prove that I'm a veteran, and generally have an attitude. I understand that attitude as a Vietnam vet. What do you mean? How dare you? But the truth is that there's standards, there's laws, there's rules, there's regulations, frankly, that define a veteran. And what we did, we now being the National Veteran Business Development Council, is said, okay, this is the standard that we're going to use based on the rules and the regulations to determine what a veteran is. As an example, 180 days of active duty or 1 day in a combat zone, must have a honorable or at least a discharge above a dishonorable. The new law that went into effect was 20 years in the Guard or Reserve, retired out after 20 years honorably. So what we did is we compiled these laws and said, these are the standards that we're going to use. So when I talk to the veterans and they say, well, why do you need all this paperwork? It's because there's two things that we're going to prove. Number one, that you're actually a veteran. Number two is the term operational control and authority. What I say in a more informal way is you got to show up and go to work. You actually got to show up and run the company. Because here's what's happened. We have a lot of people who claim to be a veteran who aren't. I'm sorry, but that happens every day. But far worse to me and my team is what we call rent a vet. What happens is a real veteran, or a veteran who qualifies, basically sits home, leases out or rents out his or her veteran status to people who behind the scenes are actually running this company. And unfortunately, we see this all the time. Now, to us, that's like stealing from real veterans. I mean, I actually was in a bar with a bunch of guys, and the guy was bragging about sitting home, with his feet propped up, drinking a beer and getting a big fat check every month. He didn't realize who he was talking to, and of course, that was not a pleasant situation for me. But the fact of the matter is that that's the idea behind all this paperwork, your taxes, your income, all your operating agreements. What kind of business are you running in the sense of the structure of it? Is it a corp? Is it an LLC? What is it? What is your role in it? Because what we need to be able to do is, in fact, show that your income is coming from that business or where it's coming from, if you have more than one business. Secondly, we need to show some form of operational control. Do you sign a check? Do you actually make payroll? Do you hire and fire people? Do your people know who you are when you walk in the door? I know it sounds funny, but it's the truth. So what we did is we created a certification standard that we actually did what we called our beta test back in April of 2014, so a little over 6 years ago. Now, the corporations that reviewed that beta tested documentation, the presentation of these veteran businesses that we felt met all these standards. The good news is the corporations who were in that room said, okay, you guys know what you're doing. Go ahead and build this thing and we'll support you. And I'm proud to say that they have, and they have continued to support us. Because why? Tell me why would a multi-billion, multi-trillion dollar international corporation risk their name, their reputation, the buyer's name or the program manager's name, and their personal reputation by issuing a contract to someone who claims to be a veteran, only to find out that that person lied and that person is not a veteran? The reason the minorities have been certifying for over 40 years is because they ought to prove that he's not only he or she's a minority, but in fact running the company. The same thing with women. We literally, because part of the certification process is to do an on-site visit. And we were allowed to go on-site and do these on-site visits with the ladies. Now, I have to tell you, as a man, if I said half of what these women were saying to other women, they would have been slapped. I would have been, it would be. But the whole point is that the women wanted to make sure where that money came from, what they were doing, were they in fact running this company, because they found very quickly the same thing I mentioned about Rent-A-Vet, is the lady is a housewife one day, president of a company the next. And we were told these stories over and over again. So when the women say, hey, this is a woman owned, but she also owned and operated, that's exactly what they taught us. And we're thankful to them for doing that, because 2017 made a significant change in what I call corporate America supplier diversity. There is a group of companies right now, I think it's about 28 or 29, that spend $1 billion or more per year on supplier diversity, women, minorities, and veterans. And veterans only became a part of that in 2017. So before that, veterans really were not a part of the supply chain of most corporations. If they were self-certified, because no certification existed until we created it. But once the $1 billion roundtable said, wait a minute, we have an organization that we acknowledge, that we accept their certification process. What they actually said is we were the only organization that they investigated that met audit standards. And why this is so important to our veterans. That opened not only a door to those 28 corporations, it also opened an opportunity to their tier 1 and even tier 2 buyers. Now what happens with that is the numbers get staggering very quickly. What happened is once the $1 billion roundtable said, yes, we will add veteran businesses to the supply chain, that kicked open an $80 billion market. Yeah, it's actually about 84 now. Okay. Now, people say, yeah, big deal. Well, it is a big deal, because I'm proud to tell you that last year, on an informal basis now, we talked to our corporate members. We have about 85, pushing 90 corporate members right now. Well, how much money they spent with our veteran businesses, certified veteran businesses. That number was a little over $2 billion. So when we start looking at this and saying, are the corporations real? Do they want to hire veteran businesses? Are they going to give us an opportunity? The answer is yes. In fact, the goodwill of the corporations, we see it every day, because they have gone out of their way and they want to be able to not only honor our veterans, work with our veterans, but give them an opportunity to bid as a legitimate bid for the supplier diversity opportunities corporations provide. Something that I'd like to address is I encourage any person, any group of people who can qualify for multiple certifications to do it. We have what we call our triple threat. And that one can be a minority, woman, veteran, who has gone out and got certified as a minority, got certified as a woman-owned business, and certified as a veteran-owned business. Now, we obviously honor, minorities of all minorities, all women. We also have an agreement with the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce and their certification. And we, again, encourage them, regardless of their social status or regardless of their own personal life, if they're a veteran and they own a company, we're interested in talking to them. Okay, so all the other stuff, we just put it aside. So what we try to do is make sure, so as General Miller says a lot, we're not in the business to turn down the veterans. We're not in the business to deny the veterans an opportunity. We're here to help them. And that's what we do. So I think as we look at all of what, the National Veteran Business Development Council does, I look at it on a personal level. My son's a veteran, my nephew is a vet, my grandson is a vet. Being what they usually call me, the old Vietnam vet, well, that's okay. I'm still here. But the point is this: before we created it, it didn't exist. Veterans in the supply chain did not exist. So we have gone from basically zero to over $2 billion a year in contracting because of the corporations, their goodwill, and frankly, their acceptance of our certification program. So we look at this and simply say, look, I want to make sure that this program exists long after I'm gone, long after, this whole thing is no longer I get a kick out of being the new guy. At my age, being the new guy is, it's fun. But the fact of the matter is it works. Our program works, it's accepted. And all I can tell you is go onto my website, nvbdc.org. If you're a veteran, you're interested in certification, go to my certification tab up top. You'll be talking to my certification team. Every one of them have been trained. All of them are veterans. They will walk you through the certification. If a corporation is listening and would like to become a corporate member, contact me directly. We'll fill you in on the process, or go onto my site. Again, it says, corporate membership. You can get all the details there, and we'll tell you about the benefits of joining us. But if you want to add veteran-owned businesses to your supply chain, the way we say it is we're the people to talk to. And the one thing that we like to say is that if we tell you that this is a veteran-owned business, you can believe it. What we've learned to say is my clock doesn't start until you completed the application. Because we'll get guys yelling and screaming, hey, it's been 4 months, and then we'll go in and look at it, this application is incomplete. So we've learned, okay, now, once you've completed your application, we say 30 to 60 days. We have actually been, some of the applications are so clean, so simple. We have all the documents, everything we need very quickly. We can do this list in a couple of weeks, but I'm never going to publicly admit that. So 30 to 60 is the answer to your question, and I usually do better. My company literally is one of the first 20 or 25 companies ever verified by the VA, period. Okay, I've been involved in a lot of the legislation and the laws, and I've been doing this for a very long time. What I tell people is, if you intend to do business specifically with the VA, then go through the process and go through the VA that's called the CVE, get your verification, because they're looking for that for their own purposes, and it has value. I would also say that if you're going to do business with the federal government, the next step would be to make sure, well, not make sure, but I would highly recommend, depending on what business you're in, is get your GSA contract. So it's both, get a VA CVE and then get your GSA. if you're going to do stuff in the federal government, the combination of those two would give you a better opportunity to succeed. But unless you intend to do business with the VA, I'm not sure it's going to help you that much. Some of the other government agencies would like you to have it. I put it this way, it won't hurt you, but again, you got to realize that verification program does not meet corporate America. So if you have no intentions of working with the feds, you don't need it. In the military, we learned how to work in a team. And I advocate for our veteran businesses to work together. Get certified, learn what you need to do, your capability statements, your marketing. You have to plan to be active and proactive to go out and get business. And just because you get certified, the sky is not going to open up and pour, money in your lap. It doesn't happen. The fact of the matter is, though, is if you are certified, you're trying to work with corporations. We can help you. We can help educate you why corporations do what they do, why and what they want to see from you. You being a business owner now, we tell people, you're never going to get a contract because you're a veteran. You're going to get a contract because you have skills, you have knowledge, you have product, you can deliver it on time, on price, and provide a value to the company, to the corporation who's trying to hire you. The fact that you're a bonus in the sense of a veteran, it makes, them and us and everybody in here, pleased to help each other. But the team idea is something that I've seen over and over again. When I was doing federal contracting, the largest team I personally put together was with 8 companies. I worked with 2 and 3 companies almost every contract. And although, since I've created the NVVDC, I put my personal company on hold. I help a lot of companies reach out to other veterans. And the construction industry seems to be a natural fit for that. We have situations where they'll be looking for electrical or drywall or cement that they don't do. Well, we'll put a team together and, before you know it, we got a higher, organization. I used to joke, I was in the Army and, I'd be out in what we call LZs, landing zones, or just out in places that, in a part of the jungle with a couple of bulldozers, and I'd, come back a month later or 6 weeks later, and the Navy guys, the Seabees, had been there and built a whole city. I mean, it's, Now, we know we got skill, and that's the point. We know we have people out there. Well, hey, if you're a certified vet, you become a part of not only my family or in the sense of veterans, but you become part of my team, and we introduce you to other veteran businesses. We just finished our national event last week, had over 500 and some veteran businesses register in our event. So I don't ever want to underestimate the power of team. Especially as a veteran, we understand it. We know how to do that. And I have so many success stories of building teams. What I tell them is get certified, get into the system. We'll show you how to do all these things, and then start looking to work with people, and not only the corporations, but with your fellow veterans. I got a call from a veteran who was more in panic mode than excited because he said he had just been awarded a $40 million construction bid contract, but it required a 10% bond, which means he needed $4 million. Yeah. And guys in the construction business that know about bonds know what I'm telling. Okay? And he was in this panic, like, Keith, I don't want to lose a $40 million contract. So we literally did exactly what I just said to you. Tell me your skills, tell me what you're good at, tell me what room, while heating and cooling, he didn't have anybody. So we started asking the vets, hey, do you do this job? Can you help bring some cash to the table? Can you, basically form this team? That happened. He was awarded that $40 million contract. The last time I talked to him, which was earlier this year before the virus kicked in, they had just won a $100 million contract, basically with the same team. So what these guys have learned to do is exactly what I've said. And one of the things that these guys got really smart at is if the lead was cement, but he was just like a minor player in another ward, all of a sudden the cement guy was the lead. So they just kind of changed roles. But the same team basically were in there pitching and winning contracts because they said, hey, I can do all these things and I got all these people, got the license. And frankly, it became a financial thing. It's hard to come up with $4 million cash, or, at least it is for me. And that's one of my success stories I'm very proud to tell. I got to give kudos to my vets. When you look at the skill set our veterans have, drones, that technology, we built them, we created them, we fly them, right? But that technology in drones is the same technology they're using in all these autonomous vehicles. I've started bidding wars over some of my veterans who know how to build drones. I got one guy, I didn't know they had certified drone pilots, but apparently we do. Those are the kind of things that you look at and say, my God, without our vets and them educating me, I had another guy who was just complaining about how much he hated his job, and he was trying to use the skills he learned in the military to find or build a job or build a company around it. And I said, what did you do? He said, I ran the nuclear power plant of a submarine for 8 years. And I went, are you out of your mind? I don't know who you're talking to, but I know 5 energy companies who would hire you today. So again, we look at the skill set, we look at the knowledge they have, and make sure the best we can to marry them up with a company that, when I say at least talk to you, because, hey, I'll get you to the door. Once you get to the door, you got to do it on your own. Again, cybersecurity was created in the military. And we have people who, we talk about tech speak because, we go, wait a minute, you got to translate this to English. Because again, those stuff that they learn in all the different, cybersecurity levels, all of that programming, that's a very, very big deal. Construction, security, and physical security or corporate security. Those things are big. Yes, the drones and all that technology is also large. But again, we look at the services and the skills of our vets, and I promote that a lot. I'm very proud of our what I call the new vets, or the younger generation of vets, because these guys coming out of there with skill sets that, I didn't even know existed. So they actually have people who basically translate your military experience to civilian skill sets. And I've seen some very sophisticated programs that do that now. But, that is what I call, we do not look for or directly help with employment, is what I say. It's not my charter, but we do it every day. What we do is what we were talking about, from the beginning on this. We work with veteran-owned businesses. We will get you certified. We will get you into a pipeline. We will get you access to our corporations. We will help market you to our corporations. And that's what we do. And, the thing that, as I was saying, we talk to our vets. We want to know what you do. Because the more I know about the new things that are out in the market and what our veterans have learned, the better of an advocate I can be for them when I'm talking to a corporation. If you look at our corporate members like Microsoft, you might have heard of this little company called Apple, Amazon, General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, Toyota. Like I said, I've got 80-some corporations, and when you look at who they are, like the drug companies, Pfizer and Merck and Johnson & Johnson, we just named Johnson & Johnson our Corporation of the Year, because they have been very proactive in looking for and trying to find and hire our veteran businesses. So we have created a whole, universe here that we're looking at to help our veterans. I used to tell people, our veteran businesses, do not expect to work for the big companies. Do not expect to work for Ford or General Motors or AT&T or all these huge, you're too small, you're never going to do it. I had to stop saying that. Yeah, and the reason is because I got a call from one of those big companies saying, Keith, do you have any veteran business that does catering? And I said, yeah, I got a little two-man shop, that's got a truck, but they got really good food. He goes, listen, every time I have to, do an order for like a caterer, I got to go through all this paperwork and all this internal stuff. All I want to do is call them up, have them come out, bring my food, pay them with a credit card, We did that. Now, one of the people in the room that this particular corporation was a plant manager. And I'm sitting in Detroit. And there's a plant that has like 5,000 workers. Well, the plant manager loved their food and said, I have all these union parties. I have all the management parties, got employee parties. How would you guys like to come out to the plant and do a couple of parties for us? Well, the last time I talked to him, he has now bought a kitchen. He now has 3 trucks. He's hired, 8 other veterans who are already working for him. The one good thing is I don't have to pay for food whenever I call him, but I had a little 2-man crew who is now working for one of the largest corporations in the world. So I had to stop saying, just because you're small, you're never going to work. What I've learned to say, it doesn't matter your size. What it matters is your skill, the ability to provide a service to the corporation and work with them, because they understand they could bury you. They understand, that they could give you an order too big for you to fill. And so they'll work with you. And so we have seen them take small companies. I have another story with a 4-man crew. We have enough of these stories with a small company to stop saying that you're too small to work with them. What we've changed to say is you've got the right skills, you've got the right product, you have the right knowledge. They will hire you, they will help you, they will help build your company. We got BMW, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, CVS, Dell. Oh, there's a little company called Disney. Love those guys. They're great to work with. On and on. And the largest medical group in the United States, Kaiser Permanente. These are company Magna, MetLife, USAA, Mass Mutual just joined us. Walmart, you might have heard that little company, Walmart. Kroger. As a matter of fact, my senior vice president spent the last 2 days talking to veteran farmers, because we were able to talk to a lot of these corporations that I'm mentioning, and without batting an eye, they said, look, we could very easily start buying from your veteran farmers. And all of a sudden we're hearing numbers in the hundreds of millions. And I'm going, oh my God. So I'm trying to look, if you got any of your guys are veteran farmers, I want to talk to them, because the biggest issue we keep having is they've been inheriting the farm and not set it up as a company. I can't certify an individual, I certified the company. When you look at Dow Chemical, you look at companies, that other people may not necessarily recognize, like Cigna or CBRE, or Boston Scientific, American Water. These companies are just dynamic, and again, I use the word blessed. They want to hire our vets, and we're trying to make sure they get the vets they want. So, you look at companies and you look at the intent. I call it heart, and being, if you will, in a position that when we, I joke, I've been thrown out of more offices than most people have been in, Because again, in the beginning, they were saying, what do we don't recognize veterans. We don't have veterans in our program, So it really was, hey, don't bother me. Now, because we've been established, because of the corporations, because the corporations have in fact shared suppliers, they will say, I got this veteran business we just love. He does, he or she does the job, blah, blah, blah. And we'll tell another business, and the next thing I'm getting a call from the vet going, man, we just got this other opportunity. Well, that's why we did all this. This is for the opportunity. And again, what we want to be able to do is make sure that we thank our corporations whenever I can, because again, without their help and their support, what I call their heart, we would not be as far as we are today. And, we're really excited about next year. We had a meeting earlier today with a company in which we're talking about doing mentoring. And he basically said, sign me up, I'm in. I'll get back to you on the details. Yeah, don't worry about it. Just put me on the list, I'm in. That's a long way from, hey, get out of my office, don't call me, and don't ever bother me again, I'm kind of liking this new stuff, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, listen, I just want your veterans to know we do have people who care and the companies that care. I get to see a lot of emotional things. I get to see a lot of great things, and I had a veteran, he was listening to one of my panels, and he wrote me and said, I can't believe it, but I was sitting here in tears because what your panel described is basically what my dad tried to tell me about his military experiences. Those are the kind of stories that make me sleep or allow me to sleep well. I go to bed knowing I've done something good for my fellow veteran, not a better feeling. Funding is always an issue. Capital is an issue. We do not lend money, but we have people who do. We have other resources that we'll plug people into. So we try to be able to refer people to the people we know and trust and know that they're going to provide services. We talk about, we do not punish startups. The other thing is that the government can only verify a small business. We were told from day one from our corporations, don't fall into that trap. They want us to certify small, medium, and large. And we have from day one. The largest company we have right now is about 1.2, 1.3 billion. We have another about 900 million. It's got 1,800 employees in 5 countries. We have some big veteran businesses. We have a big cluster of veterans in the 2 to 500 million range. Well, that's a pretty good range to be in. So if you have a company that is large or larger than the SBA rules of a small business, we're the ones to come to. We did this to work with corporations. Now we have 2 states that recognize us. We have 4 federal agencies that we work with. I have another 7 states pending. They're beginning to understand that our certification is in fact a true, what I call a true certification. And it's interesting when a division of the government have become our educational partners, and they do support us. They do run training programs with us. They help do these training programs, but they still are hiring our veteran businesses. And so what we're beginning to understand and see is we had a situation where a division of a state government got burned, and they found us and said, tell me about what you do. And I told them, and they said, we want to become educational partners with you. And we want to do the best we can to hire as many of your veterans as we can. Well, you know what? That opened up a whole lot of new doors, because all of a sudden other people are saying, wait a minute, why are these people using the NVVDC? Well, the truth is because he got burned. The truth is because the certification program, I give you, not to get too far into the weeds or the minutia here, DD 214 basically is a document. It's a discharge document from the military. So anybody who had been in the military should receive a DD 214. Okay. The problem with that is that document can be difficult to read in the sense of, what is it really telling you? Here's a piece of paper that's got all these dates and all these things on it, but what does it mean? I've been doing this for 40 years. I know what that paper is saying. I also know what the paper is telling me when I got to go back and get more information. I have a brigadier general as what I call my partner. Well, anybody been in the military knows that to be a general, you go up the chain of command. Somebody somewhere, this guy was signing these documents and had to be responsible for them, but we call it XO, right? Well, we both know what we're looking at. And here's the point. We will not accept a DD 214 from anybody. I don't care who you are. What you're going to do is you're going to sign a document releasing your military records directly to us. What that does, sets up a chain of custody. You can't fake your DD 214 because it's coming from the National Record Center directly to us. Every envelope is logged in and tracked. The documents inside, we do go through them. Each and every one of those documents are reviewed. We make sure, like I said in the beginning, that you are a veteran. But the process I just explained to you is for the kind of acceptance, the kind of confidence that our corporations have in us. I'll tell you, we were down in Dallas for 4 days. We had a big veterans event. And this young veteran came up to me and he says, you know what people say about you? About me? Well, about your certification? No. You're a pain in the ass. Oh. But what? But we all agree that once we have your certifications, it's like a badge of courage. It's like a badge of honor. We're proud of having your certification. Okay, well, now, was I just insulted or was I just, wait a minute, I'm a pain in the ass, but it's okay, And so you look at that and say, well, I guess I must be doing something right. Because if I have veterans who are proud to have our certification, and then, obviously they understand why we do what we do. And all I can tell you is a guy who has experience on a personal level and a professional level when it was not good to be a veteran, especially a Vietnam vet, especially a combat vet. All that stuff had to be removed from my resume. No one, I got fired over it. Okay, I got denied jobs over it. It doesn't take too long to learn that the best thing you can do is never, use the word Vietnam or ever use the word veteran, ever. So it took a long time for us, being us now the Vietnam vets, to be able to say we're a Vietnam vet and we're proud. If you wanted to stay in corporate America, if you wanted a job. Yeah, so, having been in that time and been in that place, the change today is just so incredible. The pride that people talk about, how they call veterans heroes, how they talk about embracing our veterans. I love that. If I can be even a small part of that, what I call my fellow vets. Hey, I can't think of anything better to do than help, one of my fellow veterans. So obviously just go to my website. All the information's there. You call us, you can contact us through the website. And you'll be talking to some really highly trained, highly skilled veterans on our certification team.
Now we have Martin Guerrero. Mr. Guerrero is a Community Affairs Associate from Square. Mr. Guerrero helps small business owners broaden their customer base by developing an online presence. Now over to you, Mr. Guerrero.
Hello, and welcome to today's workshop, How to Establish and Amplify Your Web Presence with Square. My name is Martin, and I'll be reviewing some tactics with you today on how to grow your business online. I'm currently a member of our Community Affairs and Small Business Advocacy team here at Square. I've been doing that for the past year. Prior to that, I was on our e-commerce team for the past 5 years. So Square Online is actually a part of a larger ecosystem of Square tools and products that can help you manage your entire business operations. Say if you offer, beauty services or a tax consultant or offer any type of time-based service, you can use Square Appointments to allow customers to book and pay you online. Or maybe you run a catering business or you have your own restaurant. You can use the Square Restaurant's point of sale, which has all the different fulfillment methods and order tracking you need, and it's all in one place. Or let's say you open up a new boutique. You can use Square for Retail, which also helps you manage inventory, all of your orders, and all of your customers. And both of these come with a free online store, which we'll go into a little more depth here in just a little bit. There are also many other tools, such as marketing, payroll, loyalty, gift cards, and even capital and a business banking card that you'll have access to once you sign up with Square. All of which are designed to help you start, run, or grow your business. So no matter what level you're at right now, we have the tools for you to help you succeed. And so here are the main topics we're going to cover in today's session. We have e-commerce trends, creating your own online store, marketing tactics to help drive traffic, and then we'll go over some of our key takeaways today. So before we dive into the Square Online platform and the other tools that help you run your business online, we're going to take a step back to understand some trends we're noticing right now and what you should do to prepare as a business owner. All right, so we know that COVID-19 has affected businesses up and down, regardless of the industry, and has led to a large increase in the percentage of online orders and just e-commerce in general. Both business owners and consumers selling and buying habits are changing as everyone has had to adapt these past few months, to shelter-in-place mandates and businesses being locked down. So we look at a shift in how businesses are selling. Restaurants are adapting new order fulfillment methods, like allowing customers to place an order online, schedule pickup times, or offer curbside pickup to minimize contact. And allowing everything to be paid online. You're not having to exchange any cash or handle credit cards. Sellers are also adapting to new options like self-serve ordering, which Square offers, which is a feature where customers can do dine-in, order and pay for their meal by scanning a QR code at their table. We're seeing this working successfully with those that are still able to offer, maybe alfresco dining where they have tables set up outside for proper social distancing and getting that fresh air outside. Service-based businesses are offering virtual appointments like hair tutorials or personal training sessions. And then you have retail businesses also offering order online, pick up in store, and even offering browsing by appointment virtually. So holiday season this year will be much different, as we all know. You're going to see, we have a holiday guide that we'll include at the end of the session here with you as well. But you can see that, businesses are having to adapt and looking at different ways to attract their customer base and retain their customer base with so many different options available to them online. So one of the places we'll see that change is with marketplaces. We see marketplaces continue to dominate. One third of buyers start their online journey from an online marketplace, with sales on marketplaces accounting for 52% of global online retail sales. Obviously still relevant for sellers and really useful for attracting new customers. But what you're really going to want is having your own online presence so you can own and maintain a customer relationship. Because customers really do, and we found this quite a bit in many different industries, they want to support small retailers at this time. They want to support their favorite shops and make sure that they make it through to the other side of COVID-19. All right, so really important portion here. Your buyers are on mobile all the time. You want to think about your own behavior. Think back to the time you needed to order a last-minute gift, or order dinner for carryout, or made an impulse buy while browsing your, social media all on your phone. The mobile experience creates a lot of focus. So, first, convenience matters when you're on a mobile device. You're likely multitasking and you don't have your full attention. So having clear ways to discover, pay, and fulfill orders are crucial on a mobile device. For payments, native pay options like Apple Pay, Google Pay are requirements. They're a must-have. For fulfillment, you lean into your local presence and allow same-day pickup or delivery. This will help you compete with the free 2-day shipping offers from the Amazons out there, and give your customers the intimacy they're craving. They want to be able to buy from you directly. So now that we have a better understanding of some high-level e-commerce trends, let's dive into the Square Online platform. So first, I'll give you a high-level overview of the platform and how you can set it up for your business. Second, I'll give you tips on how to get great images on your website. And then lastly, we'll do a deep dive into how you can leverage Square Online's built-in marketing tools. All right, so here are some example sites you can create based with the Square Online platform. We really want to be flexible for all different types of businesses, whether you're a boutique retailer, a restaurant owner, hair salon, or even a small organization. We make it simple to get up and running, all for free. We worked hard with website designers to understand the key section in their site. And we help you get started with, pre-selected sections based on the type of business you're in. Retail, do you sell food, for example? We have a different layout for menu style. Getting a custom site designed for your business is great, but just remember that you'll have to rely on your developer to update your website every time you want to make big or small changes. But some designers create sites with drag and drop editors, which is what our solution is currently. So first, you will decide what kind of online presence you want to start off with. You can even create a single page site, a multi-page site, or even take Instagram posts from your feed and turn them into an e-commerce website. And all of these can be adjusted on the fly. So decide whichever works best for your business and resources now. For example, you may not have time to upload tons of product shots or lifestyle photos, and can just reuse all of the original content from your Instagram account. Makes it quick and easy to get online. So once you've made all of your initial choices like colors and fonts for your site, you'll be prompted to select a website domain, also known as a website URL, that your online store will be hosted on. You can either purchase a new domain, one that doesn't already exist. This gives you your brand, this could be your own brand name, or select a custom subdomain such as, mywebsite.square.site. This is available to you at no cost on our free plan. So here's a live example of the different sections you can add while you're building your website here. You can see we've got your featured items, you've got your Instagram feed, you've got contact forms, email marketing, sign up. Everything can be adjusted on the fly. They can be moved up and down. The backgrounds can be changed. You'll see all of this once you get in there. You'll see how quick and easy it is to get this set up and running. All right, so you definitely want to meet your customers where they are. Customers can order online and pick up in store. They can shop directly from your website when you tag products or services on Instagram, and so much more. And you want to accept more types of payments. Your online store will automatically accept all major credit cards, Square gift cards, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and even Square Pay, which saves customers payment information for a faster and secure checkout later. And you're going to spend a lot less time keeping everything in sync. Square point of sale integrations make it easy to automatically import your item catalog into Square Online, which means your orders, items, and inventory stay in sync at all times. So really bridging that in-person experience, your online experience, all in one. And then you can bring in more customers. You can increase your search engine rankings with built-in SEO features, sell on Instagram, sell on Facebook, and connect to Pinterest. You can build your email list for email marketing and more. So we'll dive into these marketing tactics in just a bit. All right, so great content is what keeps customers on your page. It is your indirect conversation with your customers that sets the tone for a great customer experience. A lot of the sellers I talk to feel like they are stuck because they do not have website images. That's not a problem. You can take advantage of our free integration with Unsplash, which gives you access to thousands of free stock photos instantly directly from the website editor. So let's say you own a hair salon and need, filler images for some sections. You can do searches for like a hair dryer, or curly hair, or shampoo, anything like that, right? Just as an example. If you already have physical products, you can take advantage of our photo studio to get affordable professional product shots that don't just have to be used for your site. They can be uploaded to Etsy, Pinterest, email campaigns, really anything you want to be able to use them for. We have a photo robot in our New York office that is even able to take, 360-degree spin photos like the ones we'll see up next. So my colleagues in our Square Photo Studio office have tons of fun shooting all kinds of products, like this knife set and this bat purse, right? We even got, images of eyelashes and even a prosthetic hand that one of our sellers, one of our doctor's offices was offering online. So you can see the photos spin all the way around. You get a 360-degree view of your products. All right, so now that you've got the basics covered, let's dive into some simple marketing tips you can leverage with your Square Online website. All right, so you want to make it easy for search engines to understand what your website is all about. Also known as search engine optimization, SEO, which you've probably heard a lot about, is, you definitely want to make Google believe what you're saying about your business. So you definitely want to add your keywords to your website description. These are examples here on the right, and product descriptions. As mentioned before, people are searching for a lot of specific products these days and are looking specifically for small businesses, right? So you want to use descriptions, even hashtags, like native-owned business or, Native American or indigenous business. And you want to think about adding very descriptive words to your site and your descriptions. Permalinks are permanent links that direct people to your site. For example, for your product page that's displaying a shirt, you can set, red silk shirt as the last portion of the URL. So it makes it really nice and neat there so folks can understand what it is you're offering. And you can see here as well, we have some site examples. This Kiddo is a children's boutique in Chicago. They did a great job of highlighting the specific types of products they sell, eco-friendly children's clothes, right? Very specific to what they offer. They most likely did most likely did keyword research ahead of time to understand if people use different variations of the word. Some people may say organic products, etc. Then we have here Chica, which is a small Mexican restaurant in downtown Oakland. They made sure to add a site image to their descriptions here. Great way to engage people immediately before they even navigate to your website. This kind of acts like a thumbnail, and then when you share that by a text message, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they'll see that image on display. All right, so selling on Instagram is a feature of on our free plan. Like I said, almost all of the features you're going to see on here available to you on our free plan. I mentioned this because other platforms make you upgrade or pay for this additional service. One simple tactic people forget or don't organize very well is reposting when your customers tag you and your products or dining at your restaurant. You definitely want to share their excitement with prospective customers, that are maybe lurking on your Instagram or your Facebook feed. You want to definitely share that. That comes off as social proof, right? If someone else other than you is posting about you or giving you some sort of review, even though it's about you, it's not from you, and that holds a lot of weight in people's eyes. So here's an example of how you can save time adding personalized images to your site that already reflect your business. As mentioned before, you can drag in the Instagram feed section and it'll pull all the images from your Instagram feed. Folks do a really good job of curating really nice photos for their feed, being that it's a very visual app, and that's the main portion of Instagram is photos. So you can link out your photos from your Instagram feed and tag products in those photos to get them right directly into checkout mode. And you can also connect this directly to the Instagram app so they can shop right from their phone as well. That gives you that twofold advantage there. Facebook and all other social channels and even email are a great way to promote new products and deals. Let me show you how you can do that with the Square Marketing platform. So with Square Marketing, you can create Facebook posts directly from your Square dashboard. The look and feel aligns with the email builder as well, which we'll show you in a bit. So you can see here the example of us creating a Facebook post, really focusing on new product promotion. So it's critical to build up an email list of loyal customers that you can tap into at any moment versus passive customers you attract in other marketing channels. Email marketing is still one of the highest return on investments. Even though email and email marketing has been around forever, it still really is one of the crucial channels to success for any small business. And there are a couple key reasons to focus on loyal buyers. Right? Happy customers make repeat customers or make repeat purchases. And they usually tend to have a lifetime value higher than most. So a customer that spends $100 with you every year is worth much more in the long run than someone that just spends $250 one time. And it's really cost effective. These customers know who you are and what you stand for. Marketing to new customers is 5 times more expensive than existing customers. Right, so community and word of mouth, building up your tribe, your own community, and they'll bring more people. Right, if someone is happy with your product, they're happy with the service you offer, they will definitely let more people know about you. All right, so we have for email marketing, we have pre-built templates you can instantly use, like driving people to your online store when you have a sale or a new product, or let's say you want to collect donations. We have a donation section as well. We made it very simple. And again, branding here is consistent. Everything looks and feels like it's all coming from your brand. Once you've launched your website, the work doesn't stop there, right? So we're going to go into some reports and insights to help you measure the success of your website. You can also link Google Analytics accounts to your Square Online store for even more metrics and deeper dives. So here we have a basic overview of how many customers are visiting your site and how many sales you've made in a given time period. It's great to write up and have an organized marketing calendar with dates of when you sent newsletters, hosted events, so you can identify the large spikes in visitors or purchases quickly. You can say, oh, I did send out a newsletter on the 1st of the month, and I can see the first 5 days of that month, the spike in visits was quite large, so you can attribute that back to that newsletter. Now, this is an effective and simple way to get a quick, gut check on how your marketing campaigns are doing. One interesting metric to think about is average pages per unique visit, which means that's the average number of pages each customer sees before leaving your site. If I go to your website, me as a visitor, I count as one visitor, but I might have 10. If you have, let's say, 10 pages, if I go to all 10, you'll have one visitor with 10 page visits. That's great because it's a great indicator of how engaging your site is. If I went to all of your pages, I'm looking for information, I want to know more. Or for an example, do you have buttons in the right place to get them to products they're looking for? So if they're landing on your homepage and you're seeing them go into your shop or shop all page, those buttons are working the way they should be. All right, here we have an example of a sales summary, again, showing you your total sales, your orders, your conversion rate. So you can see, number of visitors versus number of orders. Again, this is all great data to help you measure the success of any marketing that you're doing. Abandoned cart emails, one great marketing tactic is to re-engage customers who have high purchase intent, maybe didn't end up making a purchase on your site. You as a consumer, myself as a consumer, I've seen these emails quite a bit. So, you would go to a website, you look at something you really like, you add it to the cart, and you'll notice most shopping carts, the way they're set up, the first thing they're going to ask you for is your email address. So they have that right away in case you leave, right? So an abandoned cart would be, I add a product or products to the cart, I go to the checkout flow, I add my email address, and then I either close it, I don't purchase, right? You can set up your online store to automatically email that customer, say 2 hours or 2 days after abandoning that cart. You'll see that email pop up as, hey, it looks like you forgot something, click here to finish your checkout. Or, maybe if you have a higher dollar item, maybe they got scared off by the price. And this is where maybe you'll see a, hey, to complete your purchase, here's 10% off coupon for, give them that little nudge to move forward with their purchase. All right, so some of the key takeaways in that we've gone over today. I've covered a lot. You don't have to remember what I said. I'll be adding the link to our holiday guide that reviews all the tactical tips I just covered and more. Even though we're getting really close to the holidays, a lot of the information in there really is relevant throughout the year. So some of the key takeaways today, when you're building your website, make it easy to navigate. Again, what are people going to see and remember in the first 5 seconds of landing on your website? You want to have a really nice, clean photo or a nice, sharp logo, so they can remember that. Are your navigation tabs organized in the way your customers naturally discover product or services or info about your business? Think about, standard pages like About Us, Shop, Contact, Gallery, those types of pages. Things that people know are familiar and they're used to seeing. And then rich content is key. So you want to make sure you have rich content for your site, including, sharp photos, Instagram photos, Square Photo Studio is an example of that. And then you want to customize your domain. Make your business stand out and look more professional and not difficult to read or remember. So the shorter the better on domain names as much as you can. And then your online store doesn't have to be perfect. You can keep editing as you go. Talking to many business owners, that's one of the hangups they have, why they haven't launched their website yet. It's like, I want it to be perfect. I don't have this, I don't have that. You can start off with just a simple one-page site that goes over all the major benefits of your product, and there's just a link to the checkout flow, right? Something is always going to be better than nothing. If they don't have a way to get online and see you and make their purchase, you're not going to get those orders. So again, just get up and running with it. Get something there for folks to find you and be able to purchase from you, and then just keep editing as you go. You can always change, daily if you so need. All right, that covers today's webinar. And again, I'll have a link to the holiday shopping guide there. I want to thank you for your time today. Again, my name is Martin here at Square. Happy to partner with you today. Thank you.
Hello again for those that do not know me. My name is Chamar Chan. I'm the Vice President of the National Center for American Indian Enterprise Development and Interim Executive Director of Native Edge Finance. I want to first thank all of our great speakers, not only from today, but yesterday as well. I trust that all of you that are viewing this learned a tremendous amount over the last 2 days of training. Additionally, I want to personally thank our supporter of this event, the Wells Fargo Foundation. And lastly, I want to remind everyone that this will be the last Native Edge Institute of the calendar year. Our next NEI is scheduled to take place in Oklahoma on January 28th and in Louisiana on February 15th. An official announcement about these events will come out later this week. We'll be allowing a small audience at both of these events. We'll be offering both virtually as well. Thus, we hope that you'll be able to join us once again. Lastly, as a reminder, our Reservation Economic Summit registration is now open. If you have not already signed up for Res, please do so as soon as possible, as tickets are going fast. I hope to see all of you in Las Vegas personally in the next couple of months.